I never used to think of spas as dangerous places. You go in, you relax, you come out a slightly more moisturized version of yourself. But now, every time I pass the Serenity Spa and Wellness Center, I feel a twist in my gut, a cocktail of shame, disbelief, and something darker I haven't quite named yet. Melanie and I had been married 7 years. We were one of those couples people referred to as stable or well-matched, the kind that sparked eye rolls at dinner parties because we finished each other's sentences and never forgot anniversaries. She worked in HR, I was a project manager. Comfortable lives, predictable routines. Too predictable, I'd later realize. It started subtly. Melanie began going to the spa more frequently. What used to be a once every few months indulgence became a bi-weekly habit. She said it helped her with stress, that the aromatherapy treatments made her headaches vanish. I didn't ask too many questions. If anything, I was happy she was doing something for herself. One night, I got home a little earlier than usual. Melanie wasn't there. Her car was gone, and her phone had been left on the charger. I noticed her gym bag was missing. Strange, because it wasn't a gym night. I didn't think too much of it, just figured she'd stopped at the store. But I opened her phone. I know I shouldn't have. I told myself it was just curiosity. Just harmless. But that night was the beginning of everything unraveling. In her messages, I saw one from a contact named Liam Wellness. The messages weren't exactly explicit, but they were familiar in a way that didn't sit right. A few emojis, some flirty banter. Enough to stir a sick sense of uncertainty. The next day, I dropped by the spa under the guise of booking a couple's massage. I asked casually if Liam was available. The receptionist perked up. Oh, Liam? He's amazing. Super popular with our regulars, especially the ladies, she added with a wink. My heart thudded in my chest. I didn't say anything to Melanie. Not yet. But I started paying attention. Noticing how she'd come home looking different. More relaxed, more radiant. She claimed it was just the massages. That the oils were divine. It was a Saturday afternoon when I finally followed her. She had an appointment at 2 p.m., told me she'd be back by 4. I waited 15 minutes, then drove to the spa and parked across the street. I watched as she walked inside in yoga pants and a tank top, hair in a messy bun, no makeup. Natural. Vulnerable. Beautiful. I sat there for 2 hours. Just watching. Imagining. At 4:10 p.m., she exited the building, laughing. Not the casual kind of laugh. The head thrown back, hair flipping kind. And Liam? He was right behind her, holding the door. Tall, muscular, the kind of guy who had Instagram influencer written all over him. He touched her arm. Just a graze. But she didn't flinch. She leaned into it. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there next to her, the scent of lavender oil clinging to her skin like a secret. I wanted to scream. Or wake her and demand answers. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. Like a coward. 3 days later, I confronted her. Calmly. Asked her if there was anything she wanted to tell me. She blinked, confused. Said no. That she loved me. That work had just been exhausting lately. That the massages helped. I asked her about Liam. Her face changed. Just for a second. But it was enough. He's just my therapist, she said. He's professional. That's it. But the thing about lies is they don't sit still. They twitch. They unravel. They leave traces. And I was done ignoring them. I didn't tell her I had followed her. I didn't mention the way her eyes flickered when I said Liam's name. I just nodded, pretended to believe her, and waited. Waiting, I've learned, is a weapon when wielded right. The next week, I requested time off work. Told her I was heading to a conference in Chicago. She kissed me goodbye like everything was fine. Like we weren't both pretending. I didn't go to Chicago. I parked 2 blocks away from Serenity Spa that Thursday afternoon and waited again. At 3:12 p.m., Melanie walked in. This time, she wasn't alone. She got out of a rideshare, wearing that same hoodie she always wore after yoga. Except it wasn't zipped. Underneath was a silky camisole that clung to her like she wanted to be noticed. She went through the back in trance. That was all I needed. A few days earlier, I'd booked a massage appointment under a fake name. Saturday at 3 p.m., with Liam. I needed to look him in the eye. I needed to know what kind of man thought it was okay to take something that wasn't his. The room smelled of eucalyptus and betrayal. Liam entered tall, confident, flashing that same too-perfect smile I'd seen from across the street. "You must be Aaron," he said, offering his hand. I took it. Firm shake. Steady eyes. I hated how normal he seemed. For the first 20 minutes, I let him do his job. He was good. Too good. I could see how easy it would be for someone to mistake his hands for healing when they were really undoing lives. Finally, I asked, "You ever get close with your clients?" He hesitated. "I try to keep things professional," he said. "Even with Melanie?" His fingers stopped moving. He went still. Didn't speak. "I know," I said quietly. He sighed. "I didn't mean for anything to happen." That line. That classic, cowardly line. Like he'd tripped and fallen into her heart. "You knew she was married. She said things weren't good between you two." I turned my head to look at him. "Did she also tell you how I packed her lunch every morning? How I warmed her car up in the winter? How I wrote her a note on our anniversary and left it in the fridge?" Silence. "I should have known," I muttered. "When she started coming home too happy." Liam straightened up. "Look, I'll end it. Whatever this was. I'll stop. I swear." I nodded. "Don't bother." She already did. That night, Melanie walked into a cold house. I wasn't in the kitchen. No music. No laughter. Just an envelope on the table. Inside was a photo of her and Liam outside the spa. Her head on his shoulder, his hand on the small of her back. Underneath it, my note, "You asked me to trust you." I did. Now I'm trusting myself instead. She called. I didn't pick up. She texted, begged me to talk, to explain what this meant. But she knew. And I had no more words for her. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal. It was realizing that the person you loved most could look you in the eye and lie with a smile. But I've learned something through all this. Scars are strange, they hurt, yes, but they also remind you of what you survived. I'm not sure where I'll go from here. Maybe somewhere quiet. Maybe somewhere without spa centers on every corner. But I'll keep going. Because sometimes, love doesn't end in fire or fury. Sometimes, it just walks out the back door of a spa at 4:10 p.m., laughing like nothing ever mattered. And you learn to let it go.